Hey guys, it's Nick from Long Island Wargaming bringing you a special battle report today. This is a report with myself against Anthony from the Sustainable Center. When his version of the game is available, I will put it in the descriptions. So essentially, we were playing this game, and earlier this week, I reached out to him just to get an idea of what he was going to be playing, and he said maybe Bretonia, maybe Empire. So I was kind of in the mindset of, all right, cool, toughness 3, troops, infantry, I can do this. So I stayed up, not necessarily really late, but I just was thinking about it during the week. But the night before, I made 2 lists to use, and I wake up Saturday morning to find out he will not be bringing either. He'll be bringing Warriors of Chaos. So essentially, anyone that watches his channel, which if you don't, you should, but I'm expecting anyone that's subscribed to me is already subscribed to him. He did bring his toned down Monster Mash list that he brought to Brawler's Bash. This is a 2,500 point game, so it is a bit smaller, but it is pretty tough list to play with, or play against, I should say. And also, me and the gang, we play closed lists, and this was his first time playing a closed list where essentially you keep all your magic items a secret, your scouts, equipment, whatnot, for the most part, to yourself until you're ready to use it. This way it keeps some sort of element of surprise, which when you play the same 5 people over and over and over again like I do, you kind of need that little change of pace. So anyway, I had to completely change my mindset into the whole toughness 4 and higher, high armor, save, just elite infantry, elite monster kind of mindset. So I'm going to go through my list and just some concepts behind it. If this stuff bores you or you just want to skip ahead, there will be a little annotation here. Just, move ahead to turn 1 if you'd like. So 2,500 point Skaven list. I went with my Warlord on Bogbreaker, gave him an enchanted shield, I gave him the Ogre Blade, gave him poison attacks. This way his 6s to hit. If it was against the Demon Prince, I wouldn't have to worry about wounding, but it is going to be 6s or 5s to hit for the most part. And this is where I thought I was being clever, and this might end up working against me, but I gave my Grey Seer the preservation, the 4+ ward save. So this guy, I wanted to give him the 5+ ward save, which I originally did, but then I realized, let me save some points and give him the Pigeon Plucker item or whatever, which is essentially 5+ versus flying, because I figured he'd be fighting either the Demon Prince or the Chimeras. So I thought that was something clever. I don't know. I just thought I could save some points there. But we'll see how that works out. So the Grey Seer, pretty simple, preservation and a scroll. I realized I needed to get some more fighty power into this list, so I decided to go with the Plague Priest, not really for the spells, but just because he's toughness 5, he's got some nice attacks, some decent strength. He's just useful. I gave him a sensor this way. I mean, I know toughness is high against warriors, but you know what? When you can get no armor save attacks off whenever, you just go for it. And I gave him Talisman of Endurance. 2 engineers, one with the Doom rocket, and then my Chieftain BSB. He had a halberd, and I gave him Eternal Flame Banner. And then for core, 2 units of 49 slaves, musician and champ. You usually don't bring a champ, but when most of the heroes need to in Chaos issue challenges, or if you can issue a challenge against the Demon Prince, it's just 1 less turn of taking tons of damage. I bought 49 Clan Rats, spear, no shield. At most points, it's going to be strength 4 minimum, usually strength 5, so you don't get armor, why bother? And then the spears, I'm just going to get some extra attacks. Some people might say it's not even worth it at all, you just want to grind them down. But they had a command and a Warp Fire Thrower. Warp Fire Thrower for, say, Chimeras, you can do D3 wounds with flaming attacks, so that's useful. Or even against Skull Crushers, D3 wounds, I mean, a decent armor reduction, -2. I mean, that's not great, but when you can get through and do some D3 wounds, it's nice. A naked unit of Clan Rats, just to essentially protect my BSB Endor Grey Seer. And they had a Poisoned Wind Mortar. I went with 40 Plague Monks at command and a Plague Banner. A 7 Poison Wind Globadiers. Those guys will be great against counter shots against Skull Crushers, or say just getting the slaves in combat and throwing globes into the combat. The rat darts, which I need to discuss more. I've gotten a lot of questions on the rat darts, but I also need to start using them more efficiently. I just kind of use them as dead drops. However, they can be tactically used more efficiently, I guess. I just, But when there's lots of frenzied troops on the field, you'd think I can use them, but I have sucked with them. So, Doomwheel, Hell Pit Abomination, and the Lightning Cannon. I should probably have brought 2 Lightning Cannons just with all the, with just the high armored units. I guess that's more looking back at that. I mean, I probably should have. Again, I just kind of pieced this list together. Really not in the mindset. Usually when I play my buddies, we're 5-6 days ahead of time thinking about the lists beforehand. So I kind of just pieced this together last minute, which is a good task. It is smart, or it is good to test yourself and see how quickly you can come through building an army, because it really shows how well you know your army, what is required against other armies or lists. So probably at the end of the video I will go through how I would have changed this list, or if I was to play against the Monster Mash list again, what I would do differently. So we rolled up for scenarios and we got Blood and Glory, which is great. Neither of us really cared what we were getting for a scenario. We got Blood and Glory, so Anthony only had 4 Fortitude, I had 6, which is great, but we really didn't deploy or play to the Blood and Glory rules. We just really went for a pitched battle at this point, but we used the deployment, which is kind of screwy, which kind of ends up hurting me more, I guess. I really can't hug to the table edges, which I like to do sometimes, but there is not 24 inches in between us. There's 18, which, 6 inches less doesn't sound like a big deal, but when your Warriors of Chaos are marching up 14 inches on Juggernauts, there's just less time to react or react properly, so I had to cope with that. But let's go ahead and move into just looking at our deployment. So we have 4 terrain, 2 buildings, forest, and then a forest we actually never even rolled for, now that I think about it. But I don't think we were going for crazy terrain because we made both the Blood Tower and the well impassable, because the well rules are kind of screwy anyway. So from left to right, we've got the War Dogs, the Dead Drops, 4 Juggernauts, no command, no nothing. Chimeras behind the Juggernauts, the Warriors of Chaos in the middle there, with Khorne, Halberd, Shields. The Tzeentch BSB behind them, the Dragon Prince behind the Warriors, and then more dogs to the side. So it's the pretty standard list that you'll see on the Sustainable Center's battle reports for Warriors of Chaos. This is the 2,500 opposed to the 3,000. And then just going through my deployment from left to right, I've got my lightning cannon. The rat darts are around. I got some slaves. I got the compulsory move stuff over here, hoping to tie up or maybe just deal with, the juggernauts and maybe oncoming monsters. The plague monks, I got my naked rats in the back, then my clan rats with spears, and then more slaves, and then the globadiers are in the building. I decided to go in there. This way I can just throw the globes from the building at the juggernauts, and not have to worry about getting counter shot or getting in the way, because you can see my deployment is already really, really tight. So I'll go through our spells quick. The Grey Seer and the Plague Priest both get Cloud of Corruption, which is the way to go with fighting Warriors of Chaos. That's the area of effect, D6 Strength 5 hits. There are a lot of things coming at me, so I really want to make use of that spell. The Dreaded 13th will be great against the Warriors, but it wasn't the best choice, but the other choices I got didn't really help me at all. Plague is alright. It's toughness 4 for the most part. It would do alright against the Warriors, but the Warriors really aren't the threat in this list, so even against the Skull Crushers, it might be worth it, but it's only 3 toughness tests. So, I don't know, I usually go with Plague, but not to make excuses for myself, but I was just kind of in the toughness 3 mindset, Empire or Bretoni, where that was the spell I just wanted to get, and I just still picked it because, I don't know, it's one of my favorite spells, but it's really useless against Warriors of Chaos in this case because there really isn't a lot of infantry. Howling Warp Gale is a great spell that would be good against Warriors, especially this list where there's 3 flyers. It just disables flyers until my next turn. And then the Plague Priest gets Cloud of Corruption, like I said, and Bless with Filth, which is useful, the poison attacks, because there's going to be cases where wounding is not going to be easy, so I want to make use of that. We'll see how that goes. And then the Nurgle Demon Prince chose Death Magic, so Spiritual Leech, the Crest, Doom and Darkness, and Bajuna. Essentially just gunning for my heroes. There's nothing really I can do about it, so let's see how that goes. And as you can see in my list, I either forgot or didn't find as honestly probably an oversight, but I didn't really consider Magic Res because I'm usually bringing a bell and an Obsidian Lodestone, and I didn't do either, which is I don't know why I didn't, but whatever, let's move on. So Anthony gets turn 1, and he rushes at me, which I should have known better. That was just quick. It's just up in your face real quick with this list and this deployment range, so I probably should have been completely on the back line, but you know what? It doesn't really matter. So besides that's movement. So let's move into our magic phase. So right off the bat, 11 for Winds of Magic. He tries to cast, if I remember correctly, it was Spirit Leech, Bajuna, and Caress, and between those 3 spells, and he was aiming all at the Bonebreaker Lord, if I remember correctly. Between those 3, I was able to dispel 1 and scroll 1, but failed to dispel one of them, so it got through. It might have been Bajuna that got through, and it completely just knocks my Lord off the board turn 1. So pretty funny. Going back to the Pigeon Plucker thing, I thought it was a smart move. Obviously not. And the fact that I brought no Magic Res is silly, and I'm sure I'm going to get shit for it from you guys, which is fine. Give me a hard time about that. It's something I usually do in an important game like this, but I just wasn't expecting to take such a hit from Magic, but Death is, hero killer, so that's it. So the Bonebreaker, despite his high toughness and his high strength for those spells that take those into consideration, I lost my Lord, and that is my general right off the bat. So just a question to throw out to you guys. Prior to this list getting onto the field, would you have used the Gracier for your Lord, knowing that he was going to be back and not in combat, or was the Bonebreaker Lord just the way to go as your Lord? I mean, they're both Leadership 7, so they're both serving the same purpose, but I made my Lord on Bonebreaker my general, which ends up screwing me because now I'm immediately no longer getting my Leadership 7, so you can see I'm already at a huge detriment on top of already fighting this beastly list. So let's move on to Skaven turn 1. Right off the bat, I felt like a cornered rat with all these troops coming in on me. And just looking at my movement here, you might think that the chaff isn't, going to do what it needs to do, but I'm really banking on getting Howling Warp Gale off or whatever. So from right to left, the giant rats are just going to move up just a little bit further. This way the Skull Crushers would have to hit them first, then the slaves, just giving me time. And then if for any reason the giant rats are dead or something, then the Warp Fire Thrower would be able to stand and shoot, which would be nice. The other clan rats are going to get in the way of the Demon Prince. The clan rats back up a little bit. The Plague Monks just get ready, and then the Doom Wheel makes a massive run towards the Demon Prince. Essentially, if I rolled in 1 point higher, I would have probably been able to actually hit him, which would have been great. But really, I feel like the Lightning Cannon and the Doom Wheel is the way to go with knocking out the freaking Demon Prince with my high strength hits at d6 multiple wounds, so that's what I'm kind of banking on here. So I'm going to run away from those warriors and skull crushers. The Hell Pit Abomination is going to make his way over, and then the slaves and the giant rats over there are just going to play tag with the war dogs. So into magic phase, I believe it was something average, might have been 7 or so. What I did was, also notice I took the engineer out of the unit so he can get a nice clear shot with his Doom Rocket, which is going to be going against, that cluster of guys right there. Probably won't be as effective, but we'll see how it goes. And I successfully get off Howling Warp Gale. I'm not sure if he tried to dispel or not, I don't remember. But that's the only spell I was able to get off successfully, at least, which is huge because it's no longer going to be, hey, 2 Chimeras and Demon Prince are just going to bum rush the freaking clan rats. Now they're all out of line of sight, and then they would just all be behind my line. So essentially now he can't charge with the Chimeras at this point, and Demon Prince is going to have to deal with those rats, which is just, silly. Oh yeah, the reason why Warp Gale got off so easily is because it was a miscast. So that got off, and then I guess whatever Dispel dice left just took out whatever spells I tried to get off. So you could see that covers a shit ton of rats. So I'm going to start eating away my own guys. So there we go. Alright, on to shooting. I decided to go with the Doom Wheel first. This way, if I just don't want to hit it with my own lightning cannon. So the Doom Wheel does an amazing roll of a misfire, and it decides to go random move. So instead of doing some damage to the Demon Prince, he decides to run away. And I essentially told Anthony, he has a gift for the Chaos Warriors. It's a gift for the Lord of Corn, or for the Blood God or something. So essentially now he's just sitting there for waiting on a flank charge from the Warriors. So that was great. The lightning cannon falls short of the Demon Prince. I was kind of hoping to go Demon Prince and then hit through the Skull Crushers, but that was a fail. Doom Rocket, I get a perfect roll, 14, which is what I'm usually looking for, 14 inches away. I might have done a wound. I don't even think I did. I think the Skull Crushers saved whatever wounds I did. The Globadiers throw at the Skull Crushers, maybe doing a wound. The Warp Fire Thrower kills a Skull Crusher. I don't know if that was finishing off one from the Globadiers or just with the multiple wounds or whatever. The Flame Template is the way. The Warp Fire Thrower is the way to go with the Skull Crushers because, it's not an amazing armor save reduction, but it is strength 5 and it is D3 multiple wounds, so that's kind of ideal. And then I was able to get 1 or 2 wounds onto the Chimera. He had a 6-up armor, but I negated his regen, so that was nice. The Poison Wind Mortar swayed off of the Skull Crushers and I believe killed a dog or something. So really looking at the end of shooting, I've now killed a Skull Crusher, which is great, but now it gives him some more wiggle room to work with where his Skull Crusher is going to go. So he can essentially now just avoid that little rat dart, and now the Chimera can start moving through. So it's kind of bittersweet. And just based on the way that the Warp Fire Thrower is facing, I should have tilted him a little bit more to the left. This way I can counter shoot the Demon Prince too if he decides to charge. And I still would have been able to do the same shoot, but that's kind of my fault. That's a misplay. But, I guess it's kind of a successful shooting turn, but oh well. Alright, on to Warriors of Chaos turn 2. So here you can see the Warriors of Chaos doing what they do best, and that's getting into combat and destroying you. So to the left here, the chaff just goes in for it, hooray. Skull Crushers fail a charge on the Hell Pit Abomination. The Warriors of Chaos go in for the Doom Wheel. That's a freebie there for them. The Zinch, BSB, and the Chimera charge the Rat Dart. This all goes in a different order from it actually being resolved because the Demon Prince had to move out of the way, obviously. The Demon Prince charged the Warp Fire Thrower and it fled because I didn't want it to die. I wanted to save it, so he redirected into the Clan Rats, which is, fine. There's a lot less there, obviously, because I miscasted, which really sucks. And the Skull Crushers go in on the slaves. The Chimera charges the Rat Dart, and since I've got no general or anything, they have no way of staying around, so they fail their leadership test. He does not redirect, he leaves it right there, and then one of the War Dogs do an assault onto the building. I countershoot and kill one dog. So for magic, between the spells, the hero killing spells, the Grey Seer ends up taking a wound. Throughout the game, I just kept letting Spirit Leech get through because I figured I would take my chances on the roll-off. We were rolling on the Grey Seer's Leadership 7, which I think is correct. Correct me if I'm wrong, leave some comments. I don't believe you add his strength and numbers to make him Leadership 10 for such a leadership test. I could be wrong. But let's move on to combat. The Doom Wheel surprisingly doesn't get completely destroyed outright. It does kill one warrior and it flees. And it actually causes panic in the slaves, which sucks. And moving on to... Alright, so the Tzeentch, BSB, and Chimera both kill the Rat Darts, no problem. And the hero overruns and makes it to the Plague Monks while the Chimera doesn't make it. The Demon Prince kills a bunch of Clan Rats, the Skull Crushers kill a bunch of slaves. Both units stick, which is great. I'm rolling pretty decent with my leadership, despite the fact that I don't have Inspiring Presence. I'm just going on leadership 5 for the Clan Rats and leadership 8 for the leadership 5 of the slaves and leadership 8 for the Clan Rats. So that's, all right. And the Poison Wind Globadiers kill a dog and push them back. So that's that. So for Skaven turn 2, the Hell Pit Abomination makes a charge in on the BSB. The Doom Wheel actually rallies, which is great. The Warfire Thrower actually rallies also with its +3 leadership bonus from the parent unit's ranks. And here are some shots of the battlefield. And let's see, for Winds of Magic, I actually roll very well for Winds of Magic in terms of how many dice I got. I got a 10. I actually have 2 channels, and I still have some warp tokens around. I think I rolled 2, 1 or 2. So I've got 12 dice essentially. So I try to bait some Dispel dice out of Anthony. He's too smart though. So I threw a Bless with Filth on to the Clan Rats, maybe to increase my odds of maybe getting a hit or wound onto the Demon Prince. I might have been better off doing it onto the Plague Monks. This way I could kill that hero, or if they overrun into the Chimera, use that the following turn. But anyway, nothing happened, so essentially this is the moment that I'm looking for. I try to get Cloud of Corruption off with both casters. The Grey Seer rolls a 23, which is great. The Demon Prince decides to dispel it with a 24, so yeah. And then the Plague Priest fails at getting it too, so the Cloud of Corruption would have been great. I mean, it would have definitely killed a couple guys or did some wounds. I mean, the Skull Crushers still have some high armor. There's still a regen on the Chimera, and the Demon Prince is just tough. So I was kind of hoping for something out of it, but oh well. So we will move on to shooting. The Doom Wheel decides to kill 3 giant rats, which is always good. It failed its leadership test to restrain. The Lightning Cannon shoots over the Chimera and actually ends up hitting all 3 Skull Crushers. So, and some slaves. So I actually end up dropping 2 Skull Crushers, which is great, leaving the last one with 1 wound. And thankfully, I was in range, and the Poison Wind Globadiers finished off that Skull Crusher, which is pretty awesome. This is the point where I realized I should have had more than 1 lightning cannon because it's just that damn useful. And I should probably go ahead and buy a second Doom Wheel and start getting that put together because it kind of serves the same purpose, just more up close combat. Alright, so combat, I guess. The Hell Pit does some impact hits, but I mean, that guy's got an awesome ward save. And the Plague Priest is actually able to sneak a wound through, either from the impact hits or the attacks from the Skull Crusher or the Plague Priest. Somewhere along the way, I'm able to sneak a wound through onto the hero, BSB. I use the Plague Banner, but it does nothing, which is fine. Maybe I should have saved it for when I was going to be dealing with the Chimera. So honestly, Plague Banner and Bless with Filth onto the Chimera probably would have been the best way to go, because I'm going to overrun, which I end up actually doing because, I mean, I have lots of ranks. I got the flank charge, I got a charge. I just am able to beat him in combat, so that's awesome. So he flees, or no, he doesn't flee, he just dies outright because he's the BSB, but I'm essentially going to overrun because I have to, I guess, quote-unquote, chase him, but since he's a BSB, he stays behind. So both units run into the Chimera, so that's pretty awesome. So I actually get a Fortitude point out of this, so I also am thinking now, if I had just rushed the warriors, which is funny when you think about it, if I would just kill the warriors, then I would be able to get the banner in that and break the warriors. But you're not touching that Warriors of Chaos unit, and at this point in the game, how am I going to do it? So really, if I was to win at least the Blood and Glory aspect of this game, I should have just ignored the Demon Prince altogether and just went to kill the warriors and the BSB. But then again, instead of ignoring the Demon Prince, if I just had enough siege weapons, and if I had got the Doom Wheel to go deal with him properly the first time and killed him, then that would have met his breaking point also. But whatever, we were really going for pitched battle at this point. So more clan rats die, which is fine. The poison attacks serve absolutely no purpose, so that was definitely a waste of that spell. It should have been one of the Plague Monks or something. So, and yeah, so the slaves are just chilling because their opponent died. So let's move on to Warriors of Chaos, turn 3. The Chimera charges the Engineer, and I decide that instead of letting the Chimera get behind my guys, I just don't want him back there to begin with. I'm going to just flee with the Engineer at this point, whatever. He's 15 points, so he flees. Chimera redirects into the the slaves, which isn't a big deal. Or I guess, I mean, their leadership does suck actually right now, so it is kind of a big deal now that I think about it. Alright, so the Skull Crushers charge the back of the Hell Pit Abomination, and then the point where Anthony is able to start wrapping up everything is he successfully gets off Doom and Darkness onto the Plague Monks. So the Plague Monks were, with the Plague Priest, 9+ rerollable. Now they are 6 rerollable. Yeah, so the slaves actually end up fleeing to, you know, whatever. So they actually blow up in the 6-inch radius. So that hit just about everything. The Chaos stuff is pretty, you know, safe with their ward saves and their regens and their armor. I kill a couple clan rats. I kill a couple I killed the weapons team, which sucks, and then I also killed a couple of the poison wind globadiers, so oh well. And then this is probably one of the funniest pictures I've probably put up so far. It's just the demon prince fighting 15 freaking clan rats. It's just a funny picture to me. The Hellpit Abomination is able to pull off Avalanche of Flesh onto the Skull Crushers, but a lot of good saves are made and none of them die. A couple wounds are actually dished out onto the Chimera from the Plague Monks, and the Chimera's actually got 3 wounds on it now, so I didn't realize they only have 4 wounds, so they aren't that hard to kill, so 1 more wound would kill it, but I was unable to do that, and freaking, I'll move on to this photo. This is the end of the turn, and you can see that not only did the Plague Monks decide to fail their 6 leadership rerollable, but the Grey Seer and the BSP decided, hey, you know what, screw this, let's get the hell out of here, so they fail both rolls also. So that's pretty much game, but you know what, I wanted to finish it out because I was surprised with the Plague Cannon, what it was able to do, and the Doom Wheel is still around, so I figured, what the hell, let's keep going. So, on to Skaven turn 3, I pull my guys out of the building, they're going to throw and do nothing. I send these guys into the Warriors of Chaos for fun. The Doom Wheel is just coming around, and the Lightning Cannon I shoot at the Demon Prince and the far right Chimera, and I hit him, but it's only strength 2, so I don't get anything off. I really think I probably should have went for the closer Skull Crushers here and maybe tried to finish off that Chimera, but I think I decided not to do that because the Doom Wheel would just go do it itself, maybe. The clan rats slowly get grinded down here. These guys, they actually stick around because Anthony did not go after the engineer, so they're actually sitting on leadership 8, so they actually stick. The Chimera goes all the way up north there to just survive because I think that's the one there. Yeah, it's the one with the 3 wounds on it. So saving it is definitely important. Skull Crusher's turn to deal with the Lightning Cannon and the Doom Wheel, and the slaves die, and they're actually able to kill some warriors, both in combat and from the blowing upness. Alright, the clan rats are finally dead. Finally, that was way too long. They should have been dead a while ago. And he turns to face them. And my turn, the Doom Wheel goes right into the Skull Crushers. Impact hits kill some, and the shooting kills 1, and then impact hits, I don't know, between impact hits and shooting and everything, they die. He overruns. The Globadiers just try to throw a wound at the Demon Prince, nothing. Demon Prince charges them. I hold for a counter shot, nothing. Chimera kills the Lightning Cannon. The freaking Doom Wheel was within 18 inches of the freaking the Demon Prince, so I figured I'd just take 1 more shot at it, maybe kill him. If I could roll just 8 or 10 and wound him on 2s and negate his armor save and just get 1 wound through and then roll good on the D6 multiple wounds and just kill him, it would have just made me feel good. But so instead the Doom Wheel again decides, oh no, not the Demon Prince, let me turn around and run a random direction. So he essentially just turns around 8 inches and runs away, so he rolled a misfire. So the Doom Wheel just does not want to deal with the Demon Prince. I don't blame him, but I mean, come on, help me out here, Doom Wheel. And then the Chimera comes in and finishes off the job. So that's that. I got completely massacred, nothing left on the table. So this is, of course, as anyone who has watched the Sustainable Center's battle reports, it's just a tough list to deal with. So Just some closing thoughts. Uh, the big thing that was good for Anthony was not once did he miscast with his Demon Prince. When that Demon Prince gets pulled off the table, that's that's it. Or if he starts taking wounds, or it's just a mess when that starts happening. Looking at this shot, if you were playing this game, there's no way you wouldn't have shit your pants looking at this like 1,700 points in this 6-inch radius. It's just ridiculous. um, then looking at this shot, just look at how much of a mess this battle was. Just stuff everywhere. I have played this list before, though, the Warriors of Chaos list. It's in Battle Report 11. If you look at this here image, if you want to check out how I did with it, feel free to click here. I think what's cool about this list is you get a lot of control of the battlefield just based on the fact that your flyers can be where you need them to be, and you can really fix where your army is going based on that. I mean, I struggled a little bit with that because I didn't know what to do with my flyers right up front, but I figured I got a hang of it when I played the list. And then back to the Skaven roster here. If I was to remake this list or try to fix it up, I mean, the big thing is I didn't have Magic Res, which is something I usually do have. I don't know why I disregarded it or forgot about, so that's pretty huge. I probably would drop the weapons teams. I mean, the Poison Wind Mortar did nothing because, I mean, the infantry are, you know, whatever. They didn't matter if I killed them or not. I could have used extra points for heroes to deal with the stuff that was hitting me. The Warp Fire Thrower did all right against the Skull Crushers and the Chimera. I don't know if I would bring a Hell Pit Abomination. The Hell Pit's great, but since you get armor saves against it and regens, the Chimeras and the Skull Crushers didn't really care about the freaking Hell Pit Abomination at all. I did a lot of wounds, but the Skull Crusher saved it. So maybe less Hell Pit, maybe a second Doom Wheel. Maybe I should buy a second Doom Wheel. Obviously more Lightning Cannons, because Lightning Cannons did good. Between the Lightning Cannon and the Doom Wheel, there were no Skull Crushers left on the battlefield. So, I mean, at this point game, I could probably get in 2 Lightning Cannons and 2 freaking Doom Wheels. So, but I didn't do that because I don't have the actual models. So, Poison Wind Globadiers, they did all right. I don't know if it's worth the 50 to 70 points to get them onto the field. I mean, they did finish off the Skull Crusher. They did pay themselves off. They were 70 points to kill the Skull Crusher. So maybe they were worth it, but maybe I just need to get more powerful heroes to be able to deal with this crap. And I guess the last thing is the bell. It's always great to have. I feel like in combat it would be taken out so quickly against the Warriors of Chaos. However, you can't argue with the 2 aboard save for the Grey Seer on top of the bell. So I just think, again, revisiting the Magic Res, I should have had something Magic Res in here, or not taken the freaking Pigeon Plucker item. So, but that's really all I got to say. So, just keep an eye out for in the description. This way, when Anthony puts up his version of the battle report, you can check that out too. So, stay tuned for more reports. We'll have at least 3 from next weekend as I head out to Mighty Titans game store so I can play a tournament there, so that will give me 3 games, and then I know Rich wants to get some more high elf games going so he can finish my Skaven because I've beat him twice now with them. So cool. Definitely want to hear some comments from you guys, and of course and if you have not already, subscribe to not only myself but the Sustainable Center if you're looking for some good quality stuff. Thanks, guys.